everyone, welcome. You're watching NDTV World. Let's take a look at what's making news from across the world. Prime Minister Modi heads to France today. He's set to co-chair the AI summit. In the latest trade escalation from Donald Trump, he says he will announce 25% tariff on steel and aluminium imports. Donald Trump doubles down on plans to redevelop Gaza. US President says he's committed to buying and owning Gaza. Israeli military has withdrawn from Netzarim corridor in Gaza. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's party has ruled out government talks. The PTI has held massive Black Day protests in Pakistan. Prime Minister Modi is set to co-chair the upcoming Artificial Intelligence Action Summit in Paris on the 11th of February, highlighting India's growing influence on the global stage. This visit marks a significant milestone in India's engagement with global artificial intelligence initiatives. The summit aims to establish guiding principles for AI, focusing on ethical, democratic and environmentally sustainable use as well. Take a look at this report highlighting why India could lead the global AI race.
The AI Action Summit in Paris will witness Prime Minister Modi alongside French President Emmanuel Macron, US Vice President J.D. Vance and Chinese Vice Prime Minister at the helm, shaping conversations that will steer the future of AI development. The summit aims to ensure that AI evolves with an ethical, sustainable and inclusive approach.
It's a major AI summit, and India would be the co-chair of this summit along with France. India and France, of course, have a deep strategic partnership, as you're aware, and the significance of this visit is that India would be bringing to the table the concerns from the global south, that we would like the AI tools to be safe, to be trustworthy, to be secure, that there should not be any concentration of these tools in a particular geography or in a particular set of corporate sector.
India's participation marks a key turning point in the nation's technological journey as it accelerates towards becoming a leader in the global AI race. With an eye on innovation and progress, India is already adopting AI to better deliver social services, improve public infrastructure and enhance healthcare services. With a $1.25 billion AI mission and a skilled workforce, India has all it takes to be a global AI leader. This collaboration could open new doors for Indian economy, pushing it further into the realm of tech-enabled manufacturing and next-gen industries. Unlike China, where the DeepSeek's AI models seem to be linked to the state machinery, or OpenAI's ChatGPT models, where profit is the only guiding force, India can create the right balance. Just like its digital public infrastructure, the UPI and the BHIM app, which have now become the backbone for global digital financing models for the global south, India's AI models can create the ideal balance between the two extremes of US and China, one driven only by profit and other primarily meant for state control. As the world fast forwards to the future, India's private sector is showing immense promise. Bhavish Aggarwal's AI entity Krutrim is in advanced stages of creating a supercomputer that could leapfrog India into the supercomputing league. And unlike the Western AI models, India can lead the global south in creating cost-efficient supercomputing that can be replicated by poorer countries around the world. The AI revolution is underway, and as the world barrels down the digital highway, India is firmly in the driver's seat, ready to lead the way. Bureau Report, NDTV.
colleague Paradi Banor brings us this report from Paris.
Greetings from Paris. I'm Paradi Bhanot and I'm standing in front of the Bibliothèque François Mitterrand, which has been at the center of culture and AI over this past weekend, all in the lead up to today. It's going to be a really exciting Monday for Paris as the city hosts the third edition of the Artificial Intelligence Summit. The event will be held over the course of 2 days, and over 80 heads of states are expected to be in attendance here in the French capital. Now, while France is chairing the event, India is going to be the co-chair, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to arrive in France late Monday evening. The summit is crucial because it brings together stakeholders from the public and the private onto one single platform. CEOs of some of the world's largest AI and tech companies such as OpenAI are going to be attending the summit alongside world leaders. Global governance, regulations, innovation and creativity in the AI sector are some of the themes that are going to be discussed, but the priority really is on safe use and development of AI, and the challenge is going to be getting all the stakeholders on the same page. For India, on the one hand, there is the responsibility of representing the global south in the field of AI, and on the other, ensuring investments in the Indian AI market, especially when it comes to research and development. There has been a lot of buzz about China's DeepSeek, and the US's stance is still unclear. France, of course, hopes to establish itself as a leader in the global AI sector. And on the other hand, you have the UK, which is not going to be attending the summit, despite the fact that it is ranked as one of the top 5 nations when it comes to investments in the AI sector. Given this backdrop, geopolitical events that have been unfolding over the last 1 month, it's going to be really interesting to see where this summit ends up and whether or not it can truly be called a success. This TV from Paris.
US President Donald Trump says he'll announce that the United States will impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports, including from Canada and Mexico, as well as other import duties later in the week. He also reaffirmed that he'll announce quote-unquote reciprocal tariffs probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. That would mean that the US would impose import duties on products in cases where another country has levied duties on American goods. Now, Trump spoke to reporters aboard Air Force One as he flew from Florida to attend the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Top Trump administration officials are openly questioning the judiciary's authority to serve as a check or executive power as the new president's sweeping agenda faces growing pushback from the courts. Now, Trump also weighed in, saying, quote-unquote, "We're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling, but we have a long way to go."
Just on the steel question, just so I understand.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
On this tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada, Mexico,
Yeah.
United States?
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
25%.
25 for aluminum.
25.
I'm being joined by author and journalist Ray Locker, joining us from Washington. Now, Mr. Locker, Trump's decision to impose tariff on all steel and aluminium imports could have serious trade repercussions.
Oh, absolutely. It's highly inflationary. So it not only does it drive up the cost of any kind of imported steel or aluminum, but it means that any aluminum from or steel that comes from the United States, that'll become more expensive too, as more people try to go toward those sources for steel and aluminum. That means there's be a shortage, and then laws of supply and demand dictate that prices will probably go up.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us and sharing those thoughts with us on this development. US President Donald Trump has doubled down on his plan to take ownership of Gaza as he flew to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. He told reporters, and I quote, "I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as US rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it." He said that Arab nations would agree to take in Palestinians after speaking with him, and insisted that Palestinians would leave Gaza if they had a choice. He said that he watched the hostages come back and that they looked like Holocaust survivors. He also said that they were in a horrible condition and they were emaciated.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished.
Now, the Israeli military completed its withdrawal from the Netzarim corridor on a key highway in Gaza as part of the ongoing ceasefire deal. Now, Hamas said that Israeli forces have dismantled their positions and military posts and completely withdrawn their tanks from the Netzarim corridor, allowing vehicles to pass freely in both directions. Now, remember, the so-called Netzarim corridor refers to a strip of land that cut off northern Gaza from the rest of the strip, and according to the ceasefire agreement, the deadline for withdrawal was February 9th.
In yet another move as part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, Israeli troops have withdrawn from the Netzarim corridor, a key military zone cutting off the north of the Gaza Strip from the south. Israel's deployment in the corridor cut off Gaza's northern communities, such as Gaza City, from the southern part of the territory. With IDF troops out of the 6-kilometer-long Netzarim corridor, which stretches to the Mediterranean Sea, hundreds of Palestinians in cars and on carts have begun returning to northern Gaza, to scenes of utter destruction. While the withdrawal signals that ceasefire terms are still being carried out, an extension of the truce is still unclear. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces heavy pressure from his far-right political allies to resume the war, with reports indicating that the Israeli leader is aiming to delay talks on the second phase in Doha, further threatening the completion of the first phase. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes continue to rock West Bank as the IDF expanded its operations into the region. Back home, in capital Tel Aviv, hostage families continued to protest on the street, demanding Netanyahu to extend the ceasefire beyond its current 6-week phase. While US President Donald Trump's recent remarks on the future of Gaza sparked outrage across the globe, many see Trump's return to the Oval Office the reason behind the return of hostages and are now urging the US president to help speed up the release of the remaining hostages.
We need help. It's in your hands, President Trump. We need your help. We need to bring them back and start and finish this war. We can't keep this war anymore. We have no power anymore, and we have no future just in wars. We need a way to finish it, and please do it for us.
With much of the northern Gaza left a wasteland after Israel's military campaigns, many Gazans have returned home to the south after finding their homes destroyed, while others have accepted their new fate and set up tents where their homes once stood. With weeks to go until the end of the first phase of the ceasefire, only time will tell what lies ahead for the people of Gaza. Disha Bagchi for NDTV.
US President Donald Trump has claimed that he has already had one or more phone conversations about ending Moscow's war in Ukraine with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, who Trump says, quote-unquote, wants to see people stop dying. Now, Trump indicated that both leaders had been in contact. That would mark the first officially acknowledged conversation between Putin and a US president since early 2022. Now, the Kremlin has declined to confirm or deny a US report of a phone call between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, Washington and Moscow have not officially confirmed any communication between the leaders since Trump took office on a pledge to swiftly end the Ukraine fighting. Remember, Trump has repeatedly said that he wants to end the war and that he would meet with Putin to discuss it, though the date or venue for such a meeting has not been announced yet. We'll bring you more on these stories. For now, a short break. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's party PTI rejected the possibility of dialogue with the government of PM Shehbaz Sharif. PTI's leader of opposition said that the chapters of talks is now closed. He added that the government had failed to fulfill basic commitments necessary for the resumption of negotiations. Amid a deadlock in the talks, the PTI had held massive black tape protests across Pakistan on the 8th of February, citing alleged rigging of the general elections last year. The Pakistani government has even imposed Section 144 across the Punjab province, banning all political assemblies, gatherings, sit-ins and rallies. One person has died and 29 others are missing after a massive landslide hit China's southwestern Sichuan province. Rescue operations are underway after this particular landslide had buried several houses. The disaster, triggered by heavy rainfall and geological instability, struck a village in Hulian County, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of residents. A command center has been set up at the scene, according to the statement by the country's Emergency Management Bureau. China's President Xi Jinping has ordered an all-out rescue of those trapped. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un criticized trilateral military cooperation among the United States, Japan and South Korea for raising tensions in the region and vowed countermeasures, including the further development of nuclear forces. Now, Kim said U.S. deployments of nuclear strategic assets, war exercises and military cooperation with Japan and South Korea were inviting military imbalance in the region and raising a grave challenge to the security environment. My colleague Vishal joins us with more details. Vishal, now Kim Jong-un has actually made a threat of nuclear retaliation if the military cohesiveness with US, Japan and South Korea were to continue.
So what he's exactly said is that there will be countermeasures in the Korean Peninsula if the US alliance with Japan and Korea goes ahead with its nuclear simulation exercises that's been going on. The statement by the leader of North Korea has particularly concentrated on these nuclear exercises between, as I mentioned, US, Japan and South Korea. So there have been several of these exercises in the recent past, particularly between US and South Korea. And as we all know, North Korea is vehemently opposing these measures, and also the fact that he's mentioned the Russia-Ukraine war as well, and he said that North Korea will continue supporting the Russian regime and its cause is just, and the fact that the war is being prolonged by the West and its allies because they wanted to prolong to cater to their defense capabilities, to their defense needs and their contracts. So all of that has been figured in the big statement made by the North Korean leader.
Thank you, Vishal, for joining us and bringing us those details. Namibia's founding father, Sam Nujoma, who led his country's fight for independence from South Africa at the age of 95, has died. Nujoma had been hospitalized over the past 3 weeks, battling an illness from which he could not recover. Nujoma also won the first democratic election in 1990 and over his 3 terms presided over a period of relative economic prosperity. We'll bring you more on these stories. For now, a short break.